Okay, let's take a look. Um, One of the things I mentioned last time around is that you should try to make some of your holds a little bit more moving holds because he looks a little frozen. And also, one thing that's really, and I brought this up for the very first animation, but because like when he holds here, that looks particularly weird that he's like sort of frozen. That will be very hard to do. So I would keep that moving. Um, I think the rendering looks okay. Um, you've got a little bit of grain going on with the skin that's a little bit distracting. You might try turning up the anti-aliasing quality. Maybe it's because I'm noticing that it's particularly on the skin. Um, it might be the SSS setting specifically. Um, let's camera 2. Just going to do this a little smaller, do a test, and snapshot. Okay, and let's just do a little bit of skin. Okay, just going to do a small area there, just to do a little. We can do a little test on the greenness. All right. So I'm gonna keep that image, this button here, and you can see that looks pretty grainy. So let's look at the settings and Arnold renderer, and let's put this up to, well, let's just do something extreme like all at once, go to 5 just to see if that makes a difference, and then render that again, that little region, and then we can compare the two. Okay, big difference, and not that big of a difference in render time. Well, it is a big difference in render time, but I think it would be worth turning up your uh, SSS, that subsurface scatter anti-aliasing, to get that to be less grainy because it's a bit distracting. And then I would spend a little bit of time on the animation as well. Like that's weird to me that he sort of just stops there. For example, oh, did you animate with this? You're meant to animate with the root control. Where is that? Let me just look at the. Oh, it's over here. See, you're supposed to move this one and only rotate this one, but you moved this one. This one's any of these blue circles are only supposed to be rotated, not moved. But at this point, maybe it's a little late to worry about. So just keep working with this. But what I might do with this, yeah, just the way he holds there is weird. So I think you've gotta move this every pose. So maybe maybe it moves forward a little bit. Maybe maybe that moves back and down a little bit. Whoops. Uh-oh. Okay. And so now at least he doesn't freeze. And maybe that's, I kind of don't like, it's maybe too much. Maybe you can even take out one of these so it's a little smoother. I'm gonna, and so look for other things like that where he like, and here's another good example. Look how frozen this whole, the only thing is moving is the elbow there. You've got to change the pose. Like he's got to do something else with the rest of his body. Like, I don't know, maybe, these are rotated and that rotates a little bit. You can keep it subtle, but he's got to move. Like, he can't be frozen. See that? Just a little bit, but now he's not frozen there. And maybe like, um, where's the pull vector for the knee? Like maybe these knees move out a little bit there too or something, you know. So you got to keep him in live. You can't have him have those. So you've got a lot of moments where the things completely freeze and they need to keep moving. Um, yeah, and I would recommend getting some lighting with some shadows. What lights do you have in here so far? Um, Bunch of area lights and the AI is the sky dome. Is that part of the physical sun and sky, or what is that? Let me just do. Okay, let's do this. Let's just do a render of the whole thing. Sort of like a wider shot. Maybe here where it's a little wider. Okay. So let's do this whole thing, and I'm going to do test resolution. We're already let's do 25% just to make this faster. And I actually might turn some of those settings back down again just to keep it fast. That was pretty fast. Okay, let's keep that. And let's hide all these. Control H. And let's do physical sky. Just out of curiosity to see what you think. Just comparing it side by side. It's maybe a little dark. I think there's a way to... Anyway, you can play with it more, but it's a little dark. But I guess what I like is the cast shadows more than anything. It's maybe a little blue as a physical sky versus I like how you have warmer colors on yours. But I think like a simpler lighting setup like that might do well for you. Um, you can just play with all these different things. You can tint the sun, make it a little warmer in color, and adjust the elevation. If you want it more closer to noon, you'd go to like closer to 90, higher in the sky. Go back to up the intensity a little bit more. Still doesn't look as bright as I'd like it to be. That changed the shadows a little bit. I don't know, it feels a little more real to me. Anyway, something you could play with. But yeah, spend a little time on the animation. When you do render, increase your subsurface scatter quality, and yeah, have a play with the lighting a little bit more.